Okay, let's get started. I just want if Sahir, you can give a very brief summary for what we learned in last three classes. Very brief, okay, and then so that everybody can catch up.
Okay, so in session 1, we learned about the 4 Qs. We learned about the physical quotient, the intelligent quotient, the emotional quotient, and the spiritual quotient. And we learned about the difference between a dead body and a living body, and that is that the living body still has a spirit or a soul. Mechanical science is temporary solutions, and spiritual science is like the Vedas are permanent. The subtle body was the mind, ego, and intelligence, and the gross body was the hands, legs, etc. The Vedas or the Gita is our manual to life. We also learned to inquire about life. In session 2, we learned about the 4 real problems, which were birth, old age, disease, and death. And the temporary solutions like modern science, and the real solutions like the Vedas or the Gita. In session 3, we learned the difference between what wise people do and what foolish people do. Wise people have firm faith in God, and foolish people have no faith in God. And when you die, your spirit or your soul is transferred from one body to another. Good karma is good deeds for people, and bad karma are bad deeds for people. Our karma is deeds for gods, for God, like chanting. And good karma and bad karma don't cancel each other, so they're independent. You can suffer for them in this life or the next. And based on desire and karma, that's what will happen in your next life, or where you'll be. That's it.
Good. Okay. Let's get started.
Yes, thank you so much, Sahir, for this wonderful recap. So, welcome everyone to the session 4. I think it must be Saturday morning there. So, thank you so much for joining early morning. I think every one of you is still sleepy. I hope I don't make you sleep more in today's session. So, we'll start today. So, okay. So, if we look at the world around us, then we can see that the clouds are showering, the sun is shining, the grains are growing on the land, the flowers are blooming, the fruits are ripening, the mountains are full of so many different kinds of minerals, and there are different navaratnas in the oceans also. But we are mere observers. I can observe that today there was so much rain here in Delhi. I can observe that fruits are ripening. I can observe the grains are growing. I am only an observer who can only observe nature. I'm not doing anything, but merely observing. I cannot make the sun shine. I cannot grow fruits. I cannot make grains come out of the ground. But I can only observe all of these things happening in the nature around me. And I am fully dependent on the nature also. Can any of you name that one thing which you consume and it does not come from nature? Any one such thing that you eat, that you consume, which directly or indirectly does not come from nature? You can say it can be some packaged
No.
food. What about
What's Sahir?
chips? What about chips, Sahil?
Yeah, chips.
But somehow or other they come from nature only. They are processed. But the ingredients that we use, we obtain it from nature only. Be it wheat, be it rice, be it anything. We process it. And that earlier the ingredients, the raw materials we obtain from nature only. You can say medicines. We don't take medicines from nature, but we don't consume it to be alive. Right? Whatever is sustaining us, yes, Sahil,
Is it knowledge?
what we consume in order to be alive. Food products, I'm asking about. every kind of food produce that we intake in order to keep ourselves alive comes from nature, right? So we are totally dependent on the nature for our survival. We are dependent on the sun. If the sun wasn't there, then life could not have been possible. If grains would not have been there, the water would not have been there, then life would not have been possible. So we are totally dependent upon nature for our survival and sustenance. So we are totally dependent upon nature. For example, if we just like we turn off lights in our room, if God turned off the light of the whole universe, the sun, then there would be no ecosystem. If for 1 second God said, okay, I'll take that oxygen which I'm providing you, then nothing would have been there. Even if we talk about COVID situation, some oxygen was worth so many dollars, so many rupees, but Lord does never charge us for even 1 rupee, and He is providing oxygen to everyone and not even charging any rupees for providing that oxygen. But if we talk about the COVID situation, only some oxygen it was charging so much, right? So now who can claim on earth, who can claim that they have made any even one metal, gold, diamond, silver, so many metals are there. We cannot claim that we have made or produced even one thing in nature. But we are totally dependent on it. We are totally dependent on nature, yet we cannot say that we have produced anything. So we are the observers. We can observe the things happening in nature and we are dependent on it, right? So there must be some natural questions that come in our mind, that if I am dependent on nature and I'm observing everything happening in front of me, then how is the sun rising in the east and setting in the west? How are the seasons changing? How are the flowers blooming? So many activities are happening. Are they happening on an auto mode? Because we are accustomed to live, and just like everyone is living, we are living, but we are not asking these vital questions, that we are seeing these miracles happening in front of our eyes, but we don't know who is the one behind it to execute all of these activities. Who is making the sun rise from the east? Who is making the sun set in the west? Who is changing the seasons? Who is the one behind the intricacies of the flowers? Who is doing all of these activities? So once Prabhupada was in London, so when Prabhupada went with his disciples to London, he showed them two houses. First house, the grass was nicely cut. Everything was clean in the house. It was effulgent. The house was effulgent. There were many lights and there were many lamps that were lit, and the beds were made quite properly, and everything, there was good fragrance in the house and everything was very good. Then Prabhupada showed second house to his disciples. Now the second house was totally dull, dark, isolated, fully isolated, and spider webs were all the spider webs were hanging, and there were long grass and untidy beds. There was a bad odor that was coming. So Prabhupada asked, what do you infer from the house one? So the disciples said that it is a very active house, a very lively house. I think there must be some residents living there, so therefore it is very active and lively. And the second house, it was like a totally dead house, as if the residents who used to live there had locked the house and gone somewhere. So now, if I ask about the whole universe, then is the whole universe alive or dead? The whole universe is alive or dead?
Alive.
Yes, because we can see so many things happening, so many activities. Sun is rising, automatically all the systems are, for example, the salt water in the ocean, the rains turns it into sweet water for making us, so that we can drink that water. Everything is happening on its own, but how is it happening, right? So the whole universe we see is active, it is alive. So because there were some residents living in that house which were making that house alive, that house lively, so there must be someone in the universe which is making it alive, which is making it full of life. Because we don't see the universe dead, we don't see the sun is there but it is not glowing, we don't see that the ocean is there but without water. Everything is alive, so there must be a force behind it, right? So if we take some paper in our hand and if we keep some iron filings and we take a magnet, then and if we rotate a magnet from underneath our hand, then we can see that the iron filings will also move. This is the basic law that we've learned in science, that if we take some iron filings and we move a magnet, then the iron filings are supposed to move. So we see that the iron filings are moving because there is a magnet. So we see that the whole universe, the sun, the oceans, everything is moving in the world. But who is the magnet? Who is the force which is moving all of these things? For example, if a child asks the mother that it is a very nice puppet which he was seeing, so the child asks that, is the puppet moving on its own? The mother says, no, the puppet cannot move on its own. There must be a puppeteer which is moving the puppet. Similarly, although we are seeing that everything is happening on an auto mode, but there must be a puppeteer. For example, a scientist sends a satellite. It roams in the orbit, but it cannot roam on its own. The scientist is controlling it from his control lab. Right. So if everything we see in this universe is happening on its own, Earth is roaming in its orbit, every planet is roaming in its orbit. So there must be someone in the control room controlling, right? There are so many, the satellite is only so tiny in front of the huge orbits, in front of the huge planets, in front of the huge solar system. So if a satellite also needs a control room, then is it not practically making sense that the whole solar system will also need a control room for its operation? Do you know what is the meaning of cosmos from the Oxford Dictionary? Cosmos in the Oxford Dictionary says the harmonious, systematic, and orderly universe is called a cosmos. It is harmonious also, it is systematic also, and orderly also, and therefore it's called a universe. Now, if we see a watch, if you have a watch, then you see that is also systematic, that is also orderly. Now, if you will say that the watch fell from the tree, and the source of the watch is that when something falls from the tree, that means a watch. So the source of the watch is a tree. When it falls from the tree, the watch is born. This is like an illogical person, right? We'll say that the person is dumb. He does not know that any creation has a creator behind it. So the watch also, if it is created, must have a creator behind it, right? So if the watch is systematic, if the watch is orderly, and if we're talking about the whole cosmos being harmonious, systematic, and orderly, and if a watch has a creator, then will not the whole universe and the cosmos have a creator behind it, right? So this brings us to our session 4, which is discovering our, let me start. So discovering our ultimate genius and the mastermind behind the mysterious universe. Okay. So in this session, we will in essence cover that by observing the world around us scientifically, we can see the hand of a supreme intelligent designer. So first, we will see our observations. So today I will try my best to cover this first part, which is our observations. Then we'll have scientists' observations. Then we'll have a $2 million question. Then we'll have activity time. And then we'll understand what is our prime duty as human beings. Okay. So by observing the systematic and harmonious universe around us, we get many questions. For example, does God exist, really exist? Now we saw that behind our body, we saw that what is the living force behind our body? What is the living force? Mahir, can you tell what is the living force behind the body? The body is moving, but what is it which actually makes it living?
Our
Which,
body organs
which
or
we
air,
discussed,
water.
which we discussed in our first class, that although the body is dead, and when something goes
Ah,
from the body, then we say, oh, the person is left. So what is that thing which is in the body? The living spark.
soul.
Yes.
S-
So we
ah,
saw that the body is seeming to be alive, but what is that thing inside it? It is the soul. So we see the whole universe. So now we will try to see who is the person behind the universe through which it is seeming to be alive. And there are many approaches through which actually we can actually prove that God exists. There can be many theories and many approaches, but what we are today discussing uh, is only the intelligent design approach, which the scientists gave many years before. But some years later on, there was an atheist called Dawkins. We must have heard it. He said that that theory is incorrect. But then scientists are again coming back because they can't hide themselves behind the bush. Someday or the other, they'll have to admit the fact that there is a powerful design behind this universe. So again, this theory has been proven true, the intelligent design approach. And there are many other approaches also through which we can prove, but today we are discussing about this particular approach, that who creates and maintains this beautiful and harmonious universe. So our observations, it brings us first to, we'll discuss A, B, C, D, E, F till F. Each point we'll discuss in length. So first is artistry. If there is any artistry, there must be an artist. If there is a beautiful organization, there must be an organizer. If there is a creation, there must be a creator. If there is a design, there must be a designer. If there is an energy, there must be an energetic. If there is a flawless law, then there must be a lawmaker. So, the first, artist. Okay, so what question, when you see these paintings, what question first will come in your mind? Can anyone, Devin, what question will come in your mind when you will see this first painting?
The first painting, I think it's Mona Lisa. I think one of the big things surrounding it is whether or not the woman is actually smiling or whether or not she's sad based off her facial expressions.
Yes. And what will be the first question that will come? If you see this painting, what will be the first question that will come in your mind?
Who made it?
Who
Yes.
painted it?
Yes. Who made it? Who made it? So Leonardo da Vinci made this, and all of these paintings are made by someone. So the first question that will come in your mind is, who made this painting? Right? So the first question that comes in our mind is, who made this painting? But when we see this, and this, why doesn't question comes in our mind that who made this? That is a painting made by some artist. Yes, we know. But all of these living things that we see in front of us, why doesn't question come in our mind that the real beauty, the whole mountains where people go to trek, the vast oceans, the ocean, this beautiful roses, this beautiful people, who made them? If even a painting is made by an artist, if I write my question paper, my exam paper, there must be a person writing it. So if the whole systematic cosmos is existing, this beautiful things are existing, there must be the first question that comes in our mind, who made it? This is the most logical and practical question that should come in everyone's mind, right? So who is the artist? We need some origami sheets and some glue and a scissors to even make this origami rose. And there must be some level of intelligence that is required in order to make this rose. But there must be even a creator behind the real rose. And if we talk about a real flower, it has such tender petals, such tender petals. It even has fragrance. It has cytoplasm. It has a nucleus. It undergoes pollination. So there is some artist, some brain, even a artist and some mind, some intelligence is required to make even an origami rose. So there is some artist, some intelligence required to make such beautiful nature, such intricacies. If we talk about the biological details of every flower, there is such intricacy, such beautifully everything is organized in the nature. So what to speak of the flowers in nature with their delicateness, biological complexity, their fragrance, their shapes, their forms. So every artistry must have an artist. Now we go towards point B. So now we have this small clip of honeybees, which I am playing.
Bees are called social insects because they live and work together as a community. Thousands of female bees, called worker bees, live together in a hive with a queen bee. The queen bee was marked with a red dot, so we can see her better. The worker bees are all females, but they almost never lay eggs. Worker bees do almost all the chores in the hive. They gather pollen or nectar, guard the entrance, clean the hive, build the comb, make honey, tend the queen, and feed the larvae. They even fan the hive with their wings to keep it cool on a hot summer day.
Okay, so we saw that man is so proud of his industries and the many organizations which are so beautifully organized by man. But even a honeybee, who gave them the intelligence of managing so perfectly? If there is any management, then there must be a manager. If everything is organized, then there must be an organizer. These honeybees also, there's a queen bee, and everything is going so systematically. So there must be an organizer and manager behind this. Oh, one second. So this is another clip of a spider.
Mathematician spiders. Compared to their own sizes, spiders build very large webs. Indeed, if we enlarged a spider to the size of a human being, the length of the web it weaves would be approximately 150 meters, which corresponds to a 50-story skyscraper. Is it possible for a human being to weave a lacework the size of a 50-story skyscraper in only an hour? But a tiny spider accomplishes much more than that. Moreover, the spider-woven web is the sturdiest material in the world. How do spiders weave these webs possessing miraculous features? The spider takes into consideration many factors while weaving a web hundreds of times larger than its own size. This task demands at least some calculations essential in constructing a building. For the accomplishment of this work, first the spider must draw a project like an architect, for a construction of this size, design, and sturdiness cannot be accomplished without an architectural project. Once the project is drawn, the spider must calculate the lifting capacity of each part of the web like an engineer. Otherwise, the web cannot remain suspended. In order to design such a web and make such delicate calculations, the spider must be more qualified than a college graduate. Indeed, there is not a university that provides education to the offspring. Following their birth, They begin to produce silk, weave web.
So we saw that we have to undergo so many degrees. We have to be a graduate, an engineer, and so much more in order to build a skyscraper. But as soon as this spider is born, it creates such complicated web, so much more than its own size, right? So, if there is any beautiful organization, then there must be an organizer. Even the chapati that you have on your plate, your mother must have made it in the kitchen. You name any car. Arpan, can you name any car? And the company also behind it.
Ford.
And the company behind it. Ford.
Ford, yeah.
Yeah. So,
That is good.
yes. So, if there is any car, so there is a producing company behind it. If it's Ford, then that company is producing that car, right? If there is Apple phone, then the Apple company is also producing that phone. So if there is any bicycle, any car, any bike, anything, then that product that is being produced, there is a company behind it which is producing it. And that company is giving that produce a specific design also. And it has a purpose. If a car is being produced, then it has a purpose and it has a specific design also. So if there is a organization, if there is a design, if there is a purpose, if there is a produce, then there must be an organization and a producer behind it, right? Even the salt water, the rain is converting the salt water into the sweet water so that we can drink it. And even the grains are being produced so that we can eat it. And why is the sun available? So that the plants can undergo photosynthesis and life can sustain on the planet. So everything that is actually existing, it has a purpose and utility. Otherwise, nothing exists without a purpose. If it is existing, it must exist with a purpose, with a utility, right? Even if it is a car, if it is a bicycle, and any company which is producing it, there must be a design and a purpose behind it. So anyone can say, and everything that we see around us, it has a utility. Everything that we see. Now, if I ask you a question, any one of you can try answering it. What is the utility of a house fly? If there is a fly in your house, what will be a utility of that house fly? If it exists, then what will be the purpose of its existence?
To eat what it makes.
Yes.
Like if it makes any fruit, thing like that, the fly will eat it.
To maintain the ecosystem and the balance, right? And
Yeah.
Sahir, you want to add something?
To get rid of smaller insects.
Yes, to maintain the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So everything that we see around us, it has a purpose. Now, a house fly can even have a purpose to the extent that if it is in your house fly only go where there is trash, where there is dirt. And if it is, if there are many house flies in your house, then it must mean that your house is not clean. And then your mother will say, oh, there are so many house flies, that means you're not keeping your room tidy. Instantly clean your room. So that will make you clean your room. So the house fly will have the utility so that you clean your room. Otherwise, if there won't be any house flies, you will not care of cleaning your room. If the house fly exists, then you will clean your room also. So everything has a utility. Everything has a utility. Now, the third C. Okay, so likewise, we see wonderful things created by man. Sleek cars, someone manufactured. There must be some company which produced these cars. There are trendy computers. There is someone who has actually assembled it. There are elegant watches. There is someone who has designed them. There are architectural marvels. There must be someone who have erected them. There are skyscraper buildings. There must be someone who have built it. There are wonderful sculptures. There's someone who must have carved them. So, shouldn't this universe have a super intelligent creator too? So, if there is any creation, there must be a creator behind it. Oh, what is this? Okay. So, this brings us to D. If there is, you see, these are sequoia. I don't know how to pronounce this. Whatever the pronunciation may be. These are some seeds which are the scale also 1.5 centimeter long seeds, right? And they have the power to produce. If they're sown, then they can produce this tall tree. Now, this is a giant tree from that seed also. From that seed. So it is the world's largest tree. And it's 84 meters. That means 275 feet, almost 300 feet high. And almost 30 meters, 100 feet in diameter at the trunk. So this wide, this long the tree. And only these tiny 1.5 centimeter seeds had the potential to grow these long and wide and giant trees. So who infused the potential, the potency in that seed? I did not inject the potency. You did not inject the potency. Who injected the potency in the seed to grow such giant trees? Now, there are trillions of cells in our body, trillions of cells. And the scientists say that one cell of the body is more complex than the complexities of the New York City. Right? And yes, the giant tree is actually packaged in a tiny seed. And you see, a full-fledged truck can fit inside that tree. And that tree is actually the size of, not even equal to the size of a space shuttle. It is almost equal to the size of Statue of Liberty. Yes. So, this is designed by Intel. But the human brain can store more information than all the libraries in the world. Who is the creator behind that? Now, this chip was created by Intel, but who infused that chip in your brain? This is the actual vital natural questions which we must ask. So, who designed this? Let us see a small clip.
Is there supposed to be a volume for that?
No, there is just some background music that is coming. Volume. Were you able to hear the last clips, the sound of the spider and the honeybee once? Or was there no sound?
Mhm. Wasn't clear at all. We didn't hear much at all. Uh, but I think we were able to read some of those facts
Okay.
about how many millions and billions of cells, and so we were able to read some facts from that. Yeah.
Okay. So it said that who designed this? The human brain can store more information than all the libraries. So such amazing is our human brain. So that was depicted in this video. And who actually designed this human brain? But now let's go down to the, this is all the macro world that we were talking about, the whole universe. Now, even if we go down till the micro world, then we can see the DNA, the molecule of life. So each cell, there are 46 human chromosomes, 2 meters of DNA, 3 billion DNA subunits, and approximately 30,000 gene codes for proteins that perform most of the life functions. So there are trillions of cells in the body, just as I said, and each single cell, they're so minute, so minute. Yes, so minute, and they're having such complex systems, proteins.
I think you have a poor connection or something. I'm not hearing anything. Are you?
Now is it audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, now it is. Yep.
I'll try to keep my video off.
Yes.
So I was saying that we have trillions of cells in our body, and each cell has such complex DNA structures, and it has such complexities, and there must be someone who have infused such complexities, because all of these complexities, all of these structures cannot come by their own. So there is a Brave's lattice structure. This is little complex. So one second. So if there is a graphite, we know that the properties of a graphite, that graphite is very light and it is easily breakable and it is very porous also. But this graphite can be turned into a diamond. And we talk about the properties of a diamond is the most hard metal. It is the hardest metal and it is practically unbreakable. So this graphite turned into a diamond. That means that even a slight molecular change, if a metal undergoes, even if a slight molecular change, even a precise molecular arrangement, if there is a shift in that, even a shift, even in a little molecular angle, then the sweet smelling substance can become a pungent smelling substance. The color can change. The whole property can change. A graphite can turn into a diamond. Little molecular angular change also. Sweet smelling substance can turn into a pungent substance. The whole color, the whole property can change. And do you know that Pluto is sometimes considered to be the 8th planet? Sometimes Pluto is considered to be the 9th planet. Why does this happen? Because when it roams in its orbit, it is not concentric. When it revolves, it is not concentric. So sometimes it goes between Uranus and Neptune also. Therefore, it is sometimes considered to be the 8th planet and sometimes the 9th planet, because it's when it revolves, it is not concentric. But have you ever heard in the history that Pluto? Have you ever heard Pluto clashing with any other planet and there was a big disaster? Even if Pluto is revolving, which is not concentric, still it is not clashing with any other planets. You know, the sun. Okay, fine. Next is the sun only, which we'll talk about. So such meticulous design is there even in the micro world. We talked about the macro world. Even in the micro level, smaller level, molecular level, atomic level, we talk about, it is so meticulous. Even a satellite, see, there is a control room, 24 hours round the clock. Scientists are monitoring the satellites. There are critical parameters to monitor: orientation, spin, velocity, orbit decay, cosmic, so many things that we have to monitor. And everyone is assigned their respective roles in the control room for monitoring the satellite. Now, who is monitoring these vast solar systems, these vast planets? Even if a satellite so small has to be monitored in such big international institutions, which international institution is managing the whole solar system? Do you know the sun is giving out unlimited quantity of heat and light? If Earth was even 1 centimeter closer to the sun, we would have burnt. And if the Earth would have been 1 centimeter far from the sun, we would have been frozen. So, such precisely the Earth is moving, such precisely everything is being arranged. This is the weight of the Earth. And see, how it is precisely everything, incoming solar wind particles, everything which we can actually, science is not against spirituality. Science is actually the basis of understanding spirituality more deeply. Through science, we can get to know how everything is arranged by Lord so perfectly. And if even Newton and even Einstein and even many scientists said that if we understand science ऊपर से if we understand science from above only, and if we don't go deep into the science, if we understand science only from top, then we will think that science is opposing spirituality, it is against spirituality. But these scientists like Einstein said that this is because you have not gone deep into science. If you actually go deep into science, then you will find the existence of God. If you go deep into science, then you will understand the principles and the fundamentals of spirituality. So through science we can know, and it should lead us to the understanding and the result that there is a creator and a God behind everything. And that is science actually. And this is what the greatest scientists have said, that if you go deep into science, it will lead you to understanding the real spiritual science. So, who is in control? NASA? If traffic police controls the signal of traffic, if there was no traffic signals, no red light, no traffic police, then everything would be a havoc in the streets. So who controls the traffic of the revolving planets, right? So there are marvelous designs in the nature that we see today. So there is one more clip. You can tell me if you're able to hear this clip. We're not able to open it only. Let me try again.
Around 1200 AD,
Is it audible?
around 1200 AD, a man
Yes.
named Leonard Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, discovered a sequence of numbers that created a very interesting pattern. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. A rectangle with a length and width of any two of the numbers of this sequence forms what is known as the golden rectangle, a perfect rectangle. A golden rectangle can be broken down into squares the size of the next Fibonacci numbers down and below. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer, a proof of the creator, something left behind indicating the one who was there, a fingerprint. As we scan our universe, from the tiny flower To the awe-inspiring galaxy, we see the fingerprint of God.
Okay. So we saw that from a flower to a pineapple to a shell to the ocean waves to the whole galaxy, we see the fingerprint of God. We see the proof of a designer and a creator through the discovery of all scientists. Okay. So this is D. Every design must have a designer behind it. Okay, so we talked about the energy of the sun. So just as I told, that sun is so hot, but the earth is arranged in such a way because life cannot exist on other planets. Why can life exist only on earth? Why? Uh, because of the placement of the earth. If we were closer, then we would have burnt. If we were farther, then we would have frozen. So this earth, the sun is giving us so much energy. So if there is an energy, so if there is some energy, then there must be an energetic behind that energy. For example, Devin, if you're sitting in your room watching a television and there is a stone flying from the window and it breaks your television, the first question that you'd ask is, who threw this stone? Who threw this stone? Who gave the potency to this stone to break my television? Yes. So, the energy emitted by the sun per second, amount of energy consumed by the human race throughout the entire history. Okay, so the energy that is emitted by the sun every second is the amount of energy that is actually consumed by the humans throughout the entire history. Imagine every second the energy it is emanating, the entire history, the human race. That much energy we are consuming throughout history, the whole human race. This energy of the sun must have some energetic behind it, right? In 1 second, our sun produces enough energy to meet the current needs of the entire earth for 5 lakh years. Yes. So, the same example that I just said. If a stone from your window hits your TV screen, you'll ask, who supplied energy to the stone? Behind energy, there is always an energetic person. Who threw that stone? If there is some energy, with some energy someone is throwing it, that it is having the potency of breaking your TV screen, then you'll ask, who has supplied the energy to this stone to break the TV screen? So behind any energy, there must be an energetic. Then who is supplying energy to the sun? Yes. So every energy must have some energetic. So now we've come to our last F, A, B, C, D, E, we have completed. Now we've come to our last part, F. So look at the world around you. Now, any of you who goes to college, I don't know how, what age all of you are, but if anyone goes to college, then they must say that my college starts at 9:30 a.m. That there must be a law maker, some principal, some directors who have kept this law, right? So principle. So we say in India that the car is on the left, and we say in America that we keep our car on the right. So who made this law? If we say that in the board examination, there must not be any cheating, and if you get a limit, if you get a specified quota of numbers, then you will get pass. The law of promoting someone, the law of retirement, all of them has some lawmaker behind it. Even traffic laws. Government has to spend money in order to make a jail. Yes, in order to build a jail, to maintain a jail, the government is giving ample amount of money. Even for the prisoners, the criminals, the people who are not needed, for them also the government has to maintain laws. And any institution Any institution, it must have a purpose and a law. The jail has a purpose in order to clean the criminals, in order to make them into noble man. Yes, in order to clean their heart so that they can rectify from their mistakes. So any institution has a purpose and it has a lawmaker behind it. Okay, Indian Traffic Police, American Traffic Police. How many overs in a one-day international match? How many players in one team? How many ways a batsman can be out? Who made these rules? The International Cricket Council. Yes, we say that this is periodic law, periodic table of elements. It is not periodic chance. That means nothing can emerge out of chance. By chance, we keep cars on the left and right. By chance, we get pass. By chance, a person has got promoted. By chance, there are some overs in a cricket match. By chance, this is the by chance periodic table. Periodic by chance, the periodic chance. No, we say it is the periodic law. It is a periodic table. Everything has a law, right? See, we have laws of physics. When an apple fell on Newton's head, he said, "Oh, there's gravity." Right? Even we see such intricacy, we water the roots of a tree. How does the water move against the force of gravity to reach to the leaves upwards? Nothing can go against the force of gravity, right? Everything has to come down. Then how does the water, when we water it in the roots of a tree, goes upwards against gravity? Such system is in the tree, right? So this is law of physics. See, this is law of optics, mirror. So I don't know how to go such deep into science, but we'll take an overview. So this is the law of thermodynamics. So precise laws of mathematical accuracy govern this world, even the macro world, even the micro world. There are precise law of mathematics. So therefore, if there is some flawless law, there must be a lawmaker behind it. So now we've completed our A, B, C, D, E, F. So I plan to cover this A, B, C, D, E, F in today's class, all that we can have from our observations, right? We can observe so many things around us and we can conclude the existence of Krishna, the existence of God. And it is scientific actually. And if we don't actually conclude of the existence of God, that means we're foolish. We're not even scientific, right? If there's a beautiful lady, there is an ugly person. If there's a handsome man, there must be a not so handsome man. If there is a rich person, there must be a poverty-stricken person. If there is a MD doctor, then there must be a laborer also. So who decides? Who decides who will be what? Who decides who will be a beautiful person? Who decides who will be a poverty-stricken person? Who decides this? You can say, we choose. I chose I'll have an education. I chose I'll have a job. I chose I'll have a good spouse. I chose I'll have a car. So, as I choose, so I become. So, now we can ask that I chose I'll live in an apartment. So, now we can ask that did you choose your parents? That, oh, she is my parent, she is my mother, she is my father, and now I'll take birth in this family. I am choosing my parents. No, you get your parents through the law of karma. If you do good deeds, you get good results. If you do bad deeds, you get bad results. If you do good deeds, you get a good family, you get a good house, you get education, you get everything. If you do bad deeds, you resultantly have bad results. So there is a law of karma. Whatever actions you will do, you will have an equal and opposite reaction. This is the law of karma. Now this cannot exist on its own. There must be a lawmaker behind it. Now you did not choose your parents, you did not choose your face cut. I will have this face cut, I will have that face cut, right? Now people are doing some plastic surgeries for it, but naturally you could not choose your face cut. You could not choose your intelligence. All of this, who chooses all of this? Who gives all of this? Now you can say all of this comes by chance. No. Who chooses this and on what basis? Nothing. We have to admit this, that nothing comes by chance. Everything has a reason, design, and a purpose behind. It is already shown in the world of matter, physics, chemistry, thermodynamics, etc., that everything have well-defined laws behind them. So how can then our birth, beauty, intelligence all only be random in events? Our birth, our beauty, intelligence, they cannot be random events. There must be a law of karma. There must be some law that is governing. And that is the law of karma. And the lawmaker is Krishna. See, so Krishna says, oh no, Krishna does not say, this is Srimad Bhagavatam actually. Okay, so Krishna also says even in the Bhagavad Gita, but this is the reference of another scripture, Bhagavatam. So Krishna also says, but even in the Bhagavatam it is said that the law of karma, everything that a person undergoes, right, it is governed by the law of karma. So there is a law and a lawmaker behind it. Under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to result of one's work, the soul is awarded a new body. So we learnt, no? When the soul leaves the body and takes another body, it is due to what we think at the time of death. Yes, whatever we'll think at the time of death, we'll get. And what actions we do in this current life. Similarly, the soul is awarded a new body. Okay. So what is the law behind this? It is the law of karma. And who is supervising this law? Who is the lawmaker? Krishna. He, the Supreme Lord. Now he is governing this law of karma. He is governing which body you will get, which body the soul will take, how your life will be. It is not by chance, it is a law, and that law is the law of karma governed by the Supreme Lord. So, if there are flawless laws, there must be lawmaker, because nothing happens by chance. Everything we saw, physics, chemistry, mathematics, everything has a purpose, design, and a solid proof and law which has a lawmaker behind. Okay, so we've covered our first part, which is observation. In the next session, we will cover the scientist's observation. So, yes, thank you so much for today's class. So, Prabhuji, you can take over.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. So, just a very brief summary. Devin, can you give me a 2-minute summary of what is your understanding from today's class?
Yeah, I think one of the main takeaways is that I guess there is a purpose and direction behind all the physical aspects of the world, and that comes through the forms of laws, which although we have observed by science, we haven't come to terms with them in a conclusion, like absolutely. But Krishna has guided us and given us like an absolute explanation for everything that happens in the universe. So, in our world is governed through karma, right? A system, a mythological system created by Bhagwan, which although I guess we can't create ourselves or we can't comprehend to the utmost extent that he did, we can still follow his ways.
Very good. So, everything that's happening is not just happening by chance, right? There is this the whole universe that is running in such a precise way is not a chance. The Earth, even on Earth, comes 1 centimeter close to Sun, things get chaotic and we burn. If it goes 1 centimeter away from Sun, we are frozen, right? So such a precise way everything is governed. It's not just a chance. Somebody is really controlling everything, and that controller is the God ultimately. So if anybody questions does God exist, then those are the way we can definitely say, yeah, God exists, because this is not just happening by chance. It is designed to happen this way, and we saw all the lawmakers. So Krishna is the lawmaker who controls how we what we do, how we do, basically based on our karma. So this is the essence of today, and the whole purpose for this session was to prove and to to make sure that everybody understand that there is God, there is somebody who's designing everything. So, okay. So, anyone, any questions? Anyone have any questions? No, no questions. Okay. So yeah, we can get together tomorrow again, or we are skipping this tomorrow, right? We'll go to the next, since we skipped last Saturday, last Sunday, we'll just catch up by this weekend, and that way we can all join tomorrow with the same enthusiasm. Okay, I know it's early for everyone, but at least if we wake up early, we get started with our day, we can get very productive throughout the day. So that's a good habit to build on weekends also. So we do wake up early on weekdays, but on weekends, this gives us a purpose to wake up early and get ready and get going. Okay.